Alright guys, on to another video with me, Kevin Twist. We're here with Dillon Herschel. He's got his own channel, does some Origin videos and all other kind of stuff, gaming related. So that channel will be linked in the description below. But today we're here for Premier League content, and more specifically, predictions. So you alright, Dillon?
Aye, I'm
Right.
alright. What about you, mate?
I'm alright as well. You want to start or should I start?
I'll start. So,
Okay.
starting from 20th, going to first. In 20th, I've got Crystal Palace, and my reasoning for this is, I think they have made some good signings, like Joachim Anderson and that, but I think they lost a lot of experience, Townsend, Van Aanholt, etc. And also, Hodgson retired, he's the most experienced manager in the league. I just don't think they'll be able to replace that experience.
That's a fair enough reasoning. I've got them quite low on the table, maybe not rock bottom. I have the recently promoted Watford actually. As much as I love the cycling GK, I just don't think he's going to handle it in the Prem. It's a bit sad, but that's my 20th
Uh,
place. You want to go
Fair.
19th then?
In 19th, I've got newly promoted Norwich. I think they've made some good signings, Rashcoe and Gilmore, and I think Fork's a good manager, but they sold Buendia. I just think he's the main man there, and I just don't see them not going down. But I think it'll be more dignified than last time at least.
Yeah, mine's is the same. I also have Norwich in 19th. I love Billy G, of course, Scotland International, all that, bossed England at their own stadium. Got to love them. But I don't see them staying up. Better than last time, I agree on. Just not great again. Yeah, so one more
Uh,
place in the relegation. Who you got?
I've got Brighton. I
Oh,
think Brighton, they're just XG merchants. But I think if they get a good striker with the Ben White money, like Edward or someone's been linked, I think that could probably change and they could go up a few places. But right now, as it stands, 18th.
yeah. I understand that. I've got them a bit higher, just because I see those Edward links are getting a lot stronger. And well, we're recording this during half time. Edward's currently on the bench. Kyogo's replaced him, it seems. So I was guessing that must have some rumours because apparently they put a 20 mil bid in. So I've not got them down that low, but I've got Burnley. Sorry to the follow and subscriber of the channel, Brexit Sean Dyche, but I see you going down. It's happening. I'm sorry. And that concludes the relegation zone.
Yep. I have Burnley one spot higher in 17th. I think they'll just kind of stay up by the skin of their teeth as they're so good at doing. If they lose Dwight McNeil, then I could see them, flirting with relegation a bit more. But as it stands, I think 17th, but not convincing.
Yeah, I have a team you've already mentioned this video and who you put rock bottom, Crystal Palace in 17. I think like the signings like Elise's decent, Eze or however you pronounce his name, he's pretty decent at the moment. It looks like they're keeping Zaha again, maybe a bit of a prisoner, but he's still there. But I just don't rate the manager Vieira. I think he's maybe not good enough, but they also have lost players like Townsend to your club, etc. So yeah, I have them in 17th.
Uh, in 16th, I've got the Kings of Mediocrity in Newcastle. I think they're alright. Not really got much to say about them. I just think they're like complete average. St Maximin's good, but he's got long COVID or whatever. So I guess we'll have to see how he deals with that. And then people like Almiron, who's inconsistent. Callum Wilson, bit of a penalty merchant, but he's alright. I just think they're okay, nothing more.
Yeah, fair enough. I've got them in the exact same spot as well because I do think they rely quite a lot on two players, which is Saint Maximin and as well as Wilson. But they all linked to apparently get Joe Willock for 25 million. I still don't think that puts them much higher, but it could change things. That's all I'll say. But now on to 15th.
Alright. In 15th, I have Brentford. This basically entirely depends on if Ivan Toney can get fire in, because I think his goals could single-handedly bring them from like relegation zone up to mid-table. So I think it just entirely depends on him, basically.
And that's the exact same logic I went with as well for 15. I think Ayer's the correct sign they needed. He's a bit younger at the centre back because they do have Pontus Jansson, is it? He's a bit older, he's the oldest player in the squad at centre back. They've got a quite young now centre back who's obviously got a bit of confidence about him. You know, he's quite attacking as well, which suits their style. Hopefully Ivan Toney has a good time because he is also in my FPL. So yeah, that's my 15th as well.
In 14th, I've went for a little bit of a shock. I went West Ham. I think that they've tried to make these ambitious transfers like Zuma and Mateus Pereira, but they don't seem to be close to any of them. I think Mateus Pereira just went to the Saudi league.
Al Hilal.
That leaves them with their only signing this summer being Craig Dawson, who isn't exactly an inspiring signing. Just kind of like straight replacement for Balbuena, who went to someone.
Yeah.
Like Croatian team or something.
Oh, mine's a bit different, you know. Southampton. They just lost Ings, so maybe they won't even finish that high. Maybe I'll be a bit ambitious with actual 14 for them because Ings is, you know, he gets goals. Now he's went to Aston Villa, so yeah. That's my 14.
Well, I actually put Southampton one higher. I put them in 13th. As Kevin said, I think they're a good side, but they lost Ings, who's their kind of main goal getter. But I think Che Adams, Chaley could, step up to that mantle, and they've still got good players like Ward Prowse, for example. So I think they've got a good squad overall. Alex Alicia as well. I think he's quite good, but nothing too exciting for them.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Mine is who you called XG merchants, which they are, but I can see them signing, of course, my star man at the club I support, Odsonne Edouard. And if that does happen, I think this prediction of 13th could be correct. But yeah, now on to 12th.
In 12th, I went for Watford, and my reasoning for this is there's always one promoted team that kind of shocks everyone and does really well. You know, like Leeds last season, Wolves a few seasons ago, Burnley before that. And I think everyone thinks it's going to be Brentford, but I think it'll be Watford because I think Joshua King, Danny Rose, and Emmanuel Dennis, I think they're all pretty good signings, and if they can get firing, then Watford can have a really good season.
Fair enough, but I've actually got your club in England, Everton, in 12. I don't think Rafa's going to be that much of a success for the blue side of Merseyside, but, you know, that's just my thoughts at the moment. Some interesting signings. He has got the depth out wide that you've needed recently, so he's already got some key signings, maybe not excellent, but is the depth that Everton needs, so I might be completely wrong with it. So on to 11th.
My 11th is Leeds. I think they're just, you know, a good solid team, good tactically, good manager, but I just don't think they're improving as much as the other teams around them, signings wise. That's basically
Fair enough. I've got the exact same thing. They did get that Furport left back, I think. I think it was them that signed them. So, you know, a bit of an interesting signing. They lost Alioski, who obviously done alright, I guess, for North Macedonia. Euros. Better than I thought they'd do, but yeah, I see them finishing in the same position. So on to the top 10.
Right, so in 10th I've got your English side. I've got Wolves. I think that Bruno Lage is a good manager, but I just don't think Wolves have the depth necessary or the star power necessary to drag them up into the kind of 7th, 6th, 5th spots. I just think they're kind of upper mid-table right now, and it'd take quite an effort to get any higher than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Bruno is a very good coach, manager. It might be, but in my opinion, I think he's a better coach than anything. He is wanting two good players in every position. Of course, that'll take time, etc. But I think he's maybe a bit of an improvement on Nuno, but we'll get to see. He's a lot more attacking. Nuno's, of course, he wants to make sure the defence is solid and then push forward with that 5 at the back formation. But yes, now on to ninth.
In ninth, I have Aston Villa. I know a lot of people would probably have them higher, but I think like every single season, there's that team that has some amazing signings on paper, like Everton a couple of years ago, for example, and it just doesn't work either at all or for a few seasons while the players bed in. So I, I think they're just spending the Grealish money the same way that we did when Lukaku was sold, and Spurs did all those years ago when Bale was sold. And I think they're just spending too rashly, uh, and I don't think many of them will actually work out in the Premier League.
That's fair enough. Of course, a couple of them, not all signings work out, so that's fair enough. But I've got another team who wear very similar colours, but it's West Ham. I just think they had such a great season last season, but I don't think they'll be able to better it or do the same. I think they'll drop off slightly, but not like so bad that Moyes would get sacked, etc. It's still a decent season for them, just not as good as the last season. So on to the top eight, I guess.
In eighth, I have my own club, Everton. There's just no sign of like we signed Gray, who I think is pretty good. We signed Townsend, but I just don't see uh, any sign of people were talking about Dumfries or McNeil or something because of the FFP. There just doesn't seem to be much chance of us getting anyone of that quality. So I just think Rafa will do a good job with the players that we already have. Like people like Iwobi and that who aren't actually that good. But I don't think we're going to be able to push on further than that on with those players.
That's fair enough. I mean, it's a lot harder than I thought, but I did tell you before the video that 6 to 12 spot, that could happen absolutely anywhere. That's the hardest part of the table, in my opinion. But yeah, so in my top 8, I've got Spurs, the team that Nuno's, of course, went to. I just think that squad's very overrated at times. Like, especially, what's it, Kane's avoiding training at the moment. If he does push for a move, they could finish even lower than 8th, to be honest, and they just would rely on Son maybe a bit too much, but of course they could do what they did with the Bale money and just bought a bunch of randoms that didn't work out, so yeah, that's my 8th spot.
In 7th, I have the team you just mentioned. I have Spurs. I think I'm not going to like if Kane leaves, it's a completely different dynamic. I'm not going to talk about that because it's not happened yet. But Son, I think he'll do really well next season, and I think Romero from Atalanta, I think he's a good signing, but I think the midfield just isn't good enough. And it's funny because they've spent like 100 million recently on the midfield, and I just don't think it's very good. Like, still got Winks, they've got Eric Dyer, they've still got Ndombele, who's good one in every 20 games. Just don't think they're good enough to get top 6.
Yeah, I think it's also because it's just like there's so many players that fit different styles, but none that fits that like one style in that midfield. It's a very weird dynamic they've got going there. But my 7th is the one that's playing pretty much right now like a FIFA career mode. It's Aston Villa. Even without Grealish, because this could be totally wrong, because this is the season we learn how big a player Grealish was for them, or have they made the right signings with a Buendia, a Danny Ings, etc, etc. I do think they're a left back off of really challenging, like even getting this spot. I'm hoping they probably send a left back to get to this spot, to be honest. But that's my 7th place. I think he's alright, but if they want to progress, I think they've got to get someone better. So yeah, that's my 7th place.
So we're going top 6 now. I've got Leicester. I think it's just going to be the same old for Leicester. I think they're going to be up right at the top till January, and they're going to somehow bottle the Champions League in the end, in the last few game weeks. I think Daka will probably start poorly, but he could get firing by the end of the season, or depending on how much game time he gets, maybe it'll be another season or two till he really starts getting used to the Premier League. But I think he will eventually be a good player. And depending on how bad Fofana's injury is, that he got yesterday when we were recording this, depending on how bad that injury is, that could have impact, although they do have 2 other good centre-backs.
Yeah, Evans and Sancho are obviously decent. But my six are a bit different. Of course, this is a team you're yet to mention. Arsenal. This is maybe a bit high up for them. I know a lot of other people I've seen have them a little bit lower, not too much lower though. I think this is probably the time where they get top six now, because everyone else around them's maybe at a similar point again, which is maybe quite lucky because they've not done great business with that. But I think, they've just got enough there just to get the top six, if you know what I mean. So yeah, now on to the top five.
In fifth, I think this is the one that everyone would be like, Dillon, how are they this high at Arsenal? I think Ben White is going to surprise people. I think he's incredibly overpriced, but I think he'll surprise people in the end. I think
It's just that
he's
English
the best.
tax, just because it's like that
Yeah,
league,
exactly.
You need to have a certain amount of English players, so it goes up a wee bit. So yeah, fair enough.
But I think they'll surprise people. I think I've been saying this all along. I think Arteta's a talented coach. I don't know if he's good enough for the Premier League, but I think this is the season where we'll see make or break for him. If they do well,
Mhm.
he's got a job for a while. But if they do badly, then he's gone, and we probably don't hear about him again.
Yeah, I think he's a good coach. Manager, unsure on. But speaking of a good manager, Brendan Rodgers' side Leicester is my top five. So I think Daka, I don't know how well he'll do. I think Vardy and Iheanacho might be enough up top. But Daka could work anyways, even if he's not that good a finisher for them. He's just got that raw pace. Like, it's like why Traore works quite well at Wolves. He's not maybe the most talented player. He's got that strength and pace, and he just runs at people. And defences just hate that. And that is like the one thing that they all hate. So you can easily see that working out somehow. But yeah, I have them in fifth.
So we're going top four, and if you've been keeping track, I've not got too many surprises left from here on out. In fourth, I've got Chelsea. I think if Havertz and Werner can, and if they get Lukaku, of course, I think that could, help them mount a title challenge. But I think top four will be quite close this season. I think, it'll be a few points within it. I think, fourth to first could all win. I just think it depends on Havertz, Werner, and Lukaku as to whether they can mount a serious challenge, and I don't see it personally. I think fourth.
They've got the manager for it though, that's all I'll say. But I have them a little bit further up on the table. I have the red side of Merseyside, Liverpool in fourth. I don't think they're gonna. I think they could maybe win the league, but I don't see it. I don't see them getting second. I feel like they're between third and fourth for me, and I've last second went with fourth. That's just all I've went with. I just feel like there's a couple of players aging in that squad. We don't know how well Van Dijk will be when he comes back. That was a very serious injury. Not all players come back, like a Lawson from a leg break, etc. Like it doesn't always happen. So yeah, that's my
Yeah.
fourth.
In third, I've got Manchester United. I I think it will be kind of similar to last season, where they've got all these new signings and they don't maybe bed in together quite immediately. But I think they'll second half of the season they'll go on a run and end up finishing strong up in third.
Mine's is the exact same. I have Manchester United as well. So we both don't see 21 coming. Sorry, United fans. Not this time at least. Well, he might surprise us. Never know. Sancho might put on utter masterclass this season, etc. Martial with the bald trim, he might just become something magical. You never know. But yeah, that's my third place as well.
In second, as much as it pains me to say it, I've got Liverpool. I think they've just got a really good squad. Obviously, it's aging a bit. I think this is probably their last or second to last season of this kind of crop of players. But this season they've got Van Dijk back, assuming he doesn't get injured again. And they added Kanate as well, who's another addition to the kind of second spot. You've got Matip, Gomez, and now Kanate there. But they did lose Wijnaldum, who, as much as people kind of slate him, I do think he's quite an important player for them. So yeah, second.
Yeah, well, Wijnaldum's an excellent player, especially even at the Euros for the short time that Holland were in it. You could just see the talent he had when he was in that number 10 role instead of being a little bit further back. Excellent player. My number two is a bit different. We've kind of got a fourth and second swapped, it seems. because I've got Chelsea there, because it was rumoured today, so we're recording on the Thursday, the day that Celtic are away in Czech Republic, if you want a kind of time basis video. Well, it's been told today that Lukaku has
5th of
told the
August.
Inter board that he wants them to accept an offer that's reasonable for him to move back to the Premier League. So if that happens, I see them finish as second, but that's all that's based on, because then that top four changes if it doesn't, because I don't see Werner doing that well. But that could easily be a jinx, because my predictions have been terrible if you go back through my channel. So yeah, that's my second.
And if you've been keeping track, I have Manchester City first. I don't think many people would debate this. I've seen a few people saying Man United first, or Chelsea first. But I just think Man City, they've just got the best squad by a country mile, in my opinion. Like depth-wise, they've got some, borderline world-class players on the bench in every position. It's crazy. And then they've got Grealish. I think for £100 million, he's basically a rotation option, but I think he's a good addition to the team, and especially if you can get Kane. Even if they don't get Kane, I think they're going to win. But if they get Kane, I think they could really blow everyone out of the water.
Yeah, that team's scary, and of course they're my first if you've been paying attention as well. Like, I'll even bring up this tweet I've got on my phone now. Someone made their B team, like their second 11. So you've still got Stefan in goal, Ake, Laporte, Mendy, Walker at the back, Fernandinho, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Ferran Torres, Jesus and Sterling. Like, that would still get top four itself, and then you add Grealish into that main team with like De Bruyne already being in there world class. Ederson's of course a world class goalkeeper. If Kane ends up pushing through this move, like, we could see them win the title for years and years, and maybe no one's stopping them for a good few years. Like, they could easily do 10 if they keep putting money like that out. Like, talk about a team did 10 in a row, it could easily be Man City if they keep doing it. So
Could be crazy.
yeah, with that amount of
Or
money,
it could work out awfully.
yeah, it's true. I mean, like PSG, even with the amount of money they spend in the French league, you see there's the occasional year where they ball it to like a Monaco, a Lille. It does happen. There'll be slip up then and there. I mean, I should know after the season I've experienced in the Scottish league that a slip up does happen, as
That's a bit
painfully
more
it
than a
does.
slip up. That's a
No,
car crash.
yeah, I mean, a bit more.
You're
A
never
car crash is
recovering.
maybe
You're
a
not
nice
recovering
way.
from that for a while.
Yeah, not for a while until a badly scores a hat trick in the Old Firm. That's when I'll recover. But yeah. So that concludes the video. Dillon's links will be in the description below. He'll have his YouTube, maybe his Twitter, I don't know. Go follow him anyway. I'll probably put a link there anyways. So yeah, thanks for watching. Go check out his videos. There's some great Origin videos. And yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.